everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Tonight for dinner I am making a Nebraska tradition and it is called cabbage burgers. Cabbage burgers are very popular where I'm from. I am from a small town of 6,000 in the panhandle of Nebraska called Sidney. It's about 45 minutes from the Colorado border. Now this dish is so popular it inspired a fast food restaurant called Runza. However, I can't get to Runza because I'm not going to Nebraska tonight, but thanks to my mom, I've learned how to make them from scratch. She made them the whole time I was growing up. My kids love it. It's one of my favorite dishes, and I am so excited to share it with you today. So come join me and let's make some cabbage burgers. Okay, so the ingredients you're gonna need, first and foremost for a cabbage burger, is cabbage. You're also gonna need some olive oil, and a little bit of flour for rolling out things later. You're gonna need cheese. I do white American. You can use any cheese you want. Cheddar's really good with these as well. 1 full onion chopped. I do yellow, you could do white. I did 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, but 4 cloves if you wanna use fresh. Roughly 4 to 5 pounds of hamburger. And then you're gonna need salt and pepper. You're gonna need butter to brush on top of the rolls when they're done, a rolling pin to roll them out, and you're gonna need 2 frozen loaves of bread. Now, I prefer Rhodes. Rhodes to me is the best, but any 2 frozen loaves that you can get work. You're gonna put them in a greased bowl, cover them, and let them rise till double their size. And so with that, we did this earlier. It was the bread, and it is, it was about 4 hours ago that I did this, but it's ready to go. So we're gonna brown the burgers and then we'll roll these out. So let's get going. Okay, so we got our hamburger browning, and now I'm gonna saute the onion, the garlic, and then we're gonna add our cabbage, turn it off, and wait. So here we go. Bottom of the pan nice and oiled. And our garlic. And when the hamburger's half browned, not totally browned, that's when we're going to add it with the cabbage because it's going to help cook everything down at that point. So while we're doing this, I'll tell you a little story. This shirt that I'm wearing tonight is an homage to my Nebraska upbringing. It belonged to my granddaddy. I had a wonderful Mimi and granddaddy, which were my paternal grandparents, and I grew up with them my whole life. And I miss them dearly. I lost them a few years ago. But every time I wear this shirt, I can't help but smile and think of my granddaddy. He always wore boots. Everywhere he went, he wore boots. And then when he wore these shirts, he did these pearl strap pockets. He had to have 2 of them. And one was always his glasses, and the other one he kept his mints in. And so when you would go to hug him, you made sure you avoid where the glasses were because it would, poke you. But you went for the mints and there'd be this little crunch of all the wrappers coming together when you gave him a hug, and then he'd give you a mint. And it gives my heart so much joy when I think about it, and I can remember the sound of that crunch or the warmth of his hug like it just happened yesterday. And grandparents are just such a gift. My whole life I get to carry little pieces of them with me and the little magic they sprinkled into my life. And so for all you grandparents out there, never underestimate the power you have. Okay, so this is about the time we'll add the cabbage. The burger's looking pretty close to when we're gonna dump it too. So I'm gonna dump this in with my garlic and my onion. And I'm gonna just turn this off briefly. And then I'm gonna stir this up a little bit. Up, and it's just waiting for the burger. This is a good time to salt and pepper. This requires a lot of salt and pepper for seasoning because it's, other than the garlic and onion, it's your really only seasoning. So I am going to salt the cabbage away right now and pepper it, and I'll be adding more later as well. I like fresh ground and I like Himalaya salt, but you can use any kind of salt and any kind of pepper. You just use regular ground pepper if you want. I prefer this. Okay, I'm gonna mix that up, and now that burger is ready to go in here. So I'm gonna use a slotted spoon to move it over. Little by little, and I'm going to make a mess, I should forewarn you, because it's what I do. I don't want all this grease, but I do want the burger nice and moist. Okay, select this off. See, told you I'd make a mess. I'll wipe that in a second. Right now, I'm gonna mix this back up, and I'm gonna turn this back on to just over medium, not quite medium-high, between medium and medium-high. And I'm gonna mix all this cabbage and burger together. And this is gonna cook down the cabbage. You're gonna watch how this cabbage really cooks down. So it looks like a ton in this pot, but as the cabbage cooks down, it's not gonna seem like so much. I think that's good and mixed. I'm gonna watch that for about 5 minutes. I'll come back and check it. All right, maybe turn down everything. And I'm gonna clean up my mess now. Okay, so I put the lid on the meat, and where the meat and the cabbage are, and now I'm coming back over to my counter to prepare the bread that the meat is going to go in. So I'm going to grab my 2 loaves of frozen bread that has now risen. And the first thing I'm going to do is take this bread and just take little like balls and just throw them on here for now, and then I'll roll them out. So I just take them just like this. Roll them nice and sticky. I'm just going to plop them there for now. And you're going to try to get towards a dozen. It's going to vary. So I went ahead and I got all of the dough rolled out for the actual cabbage burgers. It did not yield a dozen, it only yielded 9. I was hoping to get to 10, but like I said, it does vary. And now we're gonna go ahead and roll these out. Right before I rolled them out, I went and checked and I re-stirred my cabbage and my beef, and then I salted it and added pepper because it needed it. So now, while that continues to cook down the cabbage, we're gonna roll these out. And I'm just gonna flour, make sure your counter's very clean, or if you have a big enough board to roll them, that's great. I'm gonna flour this really good. And I'm gonna take the first one here. And I'm gonna start rolling. It's gonna wanna stick at first, but that's okay. We'll just peel it back off. Flour to this. You should see how quickly my mom can do this. It takes me a little bit longer. I think I mentioned in a previous episode that I'm a work in progress, but my mom is like a master because she does cinnamon rolls and homemade noodles, and she learned those from my great-great-grandmother. And she taught me, but I don't have quite the experience she does. I don't make them as often. So you're aiming for a sort of rectangular shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'd be here all night if I was trying to make it perfect. All right, that one should be big enough. Now, I'm going to go check, now that I got one rolled out, I'm going to go check my cabbage and beef and see if it's ready for filling. We're getting very close. I think it needs about 5 more minutes. So in the meantime, I'll just keep rolling out some dough, and then when it's ready, we'll fill. If you're not covered in flour by the time you're done rolling these, you're not doing it right. At least that's what Mom says. Okay, so this is nice and good to go. Cabbage is nice and soft. They're ready to stuff. So we're going to take them to our rolls and start stuffing the cabbage burgers. All right, so once your burger and cabbage is done, you're going to get a smaller slotted spoon, and I would suggest tasting it again to make sure that there's enough salt and pepper. I had to re-salt and pepper it to make sure it was seasoned enough. Then you're going to take your little dough, you're going to take that cheese that we had, and just take one slice, and you're going to place it right in the middle. And then you're going to start adding your cabbage and filling right over the top of it. Don't do too much or too little, just enough. Okay, then you're gonna fold these up, all your goodness in the middle, and make sure you seal it, make little creases all around. Fold it up like this. Okay. Pinch it shut, then gently take it, flip it over, and then put it on your pan. And then you do that for all of them. Okay, now that we've stuffed them all, I'm going to put just a little bit of butter over the top, and then we'll put them in the oven. We're going to butter them twice, right before we put them in the oven and we get out. As you can see, the first one, and it's every time I make it, gets mangled. It's sad. It's my poor sad first one, but it's still good. It's just not pretty. Okay, it's time to put these guys in the oven for about 16 to 18 minutes at 375. So I'm going to pop them in right now. All right, 16 to 18 minutes to some serious yumminess. Oh man, these smell good. They look like my childhood. They smell like my childhood. I hope you love these as much as I do. But now I have to feed my family. So, boys, dinner's ready.
Yes!
Enjoy, guys. We'll see you next time.